Hi, welcome to our channel Programming of Mind, where we accelerate your knowledge with concise, from high-value book summaries. Let's begin mastering time through ruthless prioritization. One of the most valuable skills that separates top performers from the average is how they treat time. Everyone has the same 24 hours, but the way those hours are used makes all the difference. The most successful people are ruthless about where their time goes. They do not allow distractions or low-value tasks to steal their focus. Instead, they use a simple filter: what matters most today. If a task does not move them toward a goal, they either delegate it, schedule it for later, or remove it completely. A tech leader named Ben shared that he only gives his full energy to 1 or 2 tasks each day, no matter how long his to-do list is. By doing fewer things better, he achieves more than those who try to do everything at once. Another example comes from Claire, a startup founder who blocks her calendar in color-coded zones. Her mornings are reserved for creative work, her afternoons for meetings, and her evenings for recovery. This structure gives her freedom because it creates clarity. When you know what to focus on and when, your energy becomes a weapon instead of a weakness. Using fear as a compass instead of a barrier, fear often shows up when something meaningful is on the line. High performers have learned to use fear not as a stop sign, but as a signal. When something scares them, it usually means growth is possible. Instead of running away, they get curious. A speaker named Daniel used to panic before every talk. He thought fear was a sign he wasn't meant to do it, but a mentor told him to see fear as direction. The things he feared most were often the most important. So Daniel leaned in. He practiced harder. He visualized success. Over time, he became one of the most sought-after speakers in his field. Another example is from Jenna, an artist who feared selling her work. She felt vulnerable and exposed, but that fear was tied to passion. She realized that the fear meant she cared deeply. That's when she chose to push through. Today, her art supports her full-time. Fear doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means you're on the edge of something powerful. Designing a life, not just living one, there is a major difference between drifting through life and designing it on purpose. Many top performers take time to step back and ask big questions. What do I want my days to look like? What kind of work lights me up? Who do I want to spend time with? These questions shape their decisions and their routines. They don't chase success blindly. They define what success means for them. A software engineer named Jake used to work 80-hour weeks chasing promotions, but he felt empty. He paused and wrote down what his ideal week looked like. It included deep work, long walks, quality time with his partner, and time to read. He made slow changes. Within a year, his life looked more like his vision than ever before. Another story comes from Melinda, a travel photographer. She planned her career around seasons, weather, and creativity instead of climbing a ladder. Her choices made her different, but also deeply fulfilled. Designing your life means choosing your values and aligning your calendar with them. It means saying no to what does not fit and yes to what matters most. Surrounding yourself with giants who you spend time with shapes how you think, feel, and act. The most successful people are careful about the company they keep. They seek out those who challenge them, inspire them, and lift their standards. A young athlete named Aaron began training with older professionals. He noticed that just being in their presence changed how he carried himself. He took his sleep, nutrition, and mindset more seriously. Another example is Mia, an entrepreneur who joined a mastermind group. The other members pushed her to dream bigger, execute faster, and stay accountable. Within 6 months, her revenue doubled. Your network is not just your support system. It is your environment, your mirror, and your amplifier. When you're around people who live with purpose, that energy rubs off. The opposite is also true. Negative or passive people can pull you down slowly. Choosing your circle is not selfish. It's strategic. If you want to go far, go with the right people. Embracing simplicity in a complex world, in a noisy world. Simplicity becomes a form of intelligence. High achievers often strip away the unnecessary. They use simple systems, clear goals, and direct language. They understand that complexity is often a trap. A business owner named Tom simplified every part of his day. He wore the same type of clothes, ate the same breakfast, and used a one-page planner. These small simplifications removed dozens of tiny decisions and gave him more brain power for important work. Another story is from Priya, a digital creator who deleted half of her online accounts and tools. She focused only on the platforms that gave her energy and results. Her stress dropped, and her creativity soared. Simplicity is not about doing less just for the sake of it. It's about doing what matters with clarity. It's about making room for deep work, real connection, and meaningful progress. When your life is simpler, your mind becomes freer. Investing in yourself as the highest return, the most successful people are lifelong learners. They read, attend workshops, seek coaching, and constantly upgrade their skills. They do not wait for someone to teach them. They take responsibility for their growth. A designer named Scott set aside 5 hours every week to study a new skill, even while working full-time. Within a year, he doubled his income. Another example is from Natalie, a marketing expert who invested in a public speaking coach. She was nervous about spending the money, but the results changed her career. She began getting invited to speak at major events, opening up more opportunities. When you invest in yourself, you become more valuable in every area of life. Your confidence grows. Your mindset shifts. You begin to see challenges as puzzles instead of problems. The return on self-investment never disappears. It compounds for years. Building discipline like a muscle discipline is not a talent. It is a habit. The people who seem highly disciplined did not start that way. They built it through small, consistent actions. A fitness coach named Andre started by waking up 10 minutes earlier each day. Over time, he built a full morning routine that included meditation, reading, and exercise. That structure gave him momentum for the rest of the day. Another story is from Ella, a writer who used to struggle with procrastination. She created a simple rule to write 100 words every day, no matter what. Some days she wrote more, some days just the minimum. But the habit stuck. In 6 months, she had written an entire book. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about building trust with yourself. When you keep small promises to yourself, your self-respect rises. And from that foundation, you can do almost anything. Practicing gratitude as a mental reset gratitude is not just a feel-good idea. It's a powerful tool for mental clarity and emotional strength. Top performers use gratitude to shift their mindset, especially during hard times. A manager named Luis began ending his team meetings with one question: what are you grateful for today? At first, it felt awkward, but soon, it changed the energy of the room. People began to smile more, support each other more, and stress less. Another story comes from Anna, who battled depression during a tough season. She started a nightly ritual of writing down 3 things that went right that day. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it gave her moments of peace. She said it helped her remember that even in darkness, there is still light. Gratitude helps us focus on what we have instead of what we lack. It gives us perspective, and from that place, we find strength we didn't know we had. Mastering the art of recovery, high achievers know that peak performance requires deep recovery. They do not push nonstop. They schedule breaks, hobbies, time in nature, and sleep as seriously as they schedule meetings. A tech founder named Ian used to work 7 days a week. He thought that was the only way to grow fast, but his body began to break down. He got sick, anxious, and unfocused. He then shifted to a 4-day workweek with built-in recovery days. His creativity returned, and his company grew even faster. Another example is Sasha, a lawyer who began doing breath work and cold showers every weekend. These tools helped her reset her nervous system and manage high-stress cases with calm. Recovery is not weakness. It is strategy. The human body and brain need cycles of exertion and rest. When you treat recovery like a priority, your performance becomes more sustainable and your life more joyful. Taking ownership of every choice, the final principle of this section is ownership. The highest performers take responsibility for everything in their life. They don't blame others. They don't wait for the perfect time. They own their actions, emotions, outcomes, and growth. A leader named Kyle turned around his struggling department, not by firing people, but by changing himself. He asked, "What part of this is on me?" That question changed everything. He communicated better, built trust, and inspired others to improve. Another story comes from Zoe, who was stuck in a toxic work environment. Instead of waiting for someone else to fix it, she left and started her own project. It was scary, but she felt alive again. Ownership gives you power. It puts you in the driver's seat. Life may not always be fair, but when you take full responsibility, you create the path forward. That mindset alone can change your future. Thank you for listening, and please like the video and subscribe for more great upcoming content that will put you in top 1% people in the world.